So, there hasn't been a great deal of news in the Halo community lately. There's been a bit about Halo Wars 2 and its Blitz mode and things like that. And there was Halo 5's first birthday the other day. And I was going to do a video on Halo 5's first birthday, but somebody in my comment section made a rather interesting point. Now, they asked about publishers. They asked, do developers need publishers? They asked, can't they just go and publish the game themselves, or does Microsoft own the rights to the franchise? And are there any possibilities that the developers can leave the publisher? So I figured that this would be a little more interesting than what everybody else is doing with Halo 5's 1-year anniversary and that sort of thing. Because it actually is a little more relevant to the games. I don't think the first birthday of Halo 5 is that relevant because, well, I mean, they've added 70% of the game since then, and everybody's covered it to death. Everybody's covered the updates to death. Everybody knows exactly where the game was and where the game is. So I don't feel like it's a really interesting topic. Now this, on the other hand, is a fantastic topic in my opinion, because it's something that at least this viewer and potentially other viewers might not know or completely understand. Now, I'm not 100% on how the internal workings of Microsoft goes as far as their game publishing, but I do have a little bit of a background of games development, mainly because I'm studying it at university, and I'm hoping to go on and do a placement year next year with an actual company. So I'll get to his first question. His first question is, can't a studio like 343 Industries just go away and publish the game themselves? The short answer, no. The long answer, not without a lot of legal trouble. One, Microsoft pays 343i. They own the company. They own entirely 343 Industries and everyone that works there. They are all employed by Microsoft rather than 343. It's the same way the Coalition is done, and probably, but don't quote me, Playground Games. I'm not 100% sure with those, but I know the Coalition is. They were set up and founded by Microsoft for the sole purpose of keeping their franchises running. There is no way that they can take the franchise that they work on, because they are only working on it because Microsoft say they can. Microsoft own Halo. Halo is Microsoft's. It's not 343's as much as they'd like to try and make you believe, or it seems that way. But at the end of the day, the franchise is owned and operated by Microsoft, which is why they have such a deep grasp in the development of Halo. Now, the second question, he says, is it possible that the developers could leave the publishers, or somehow make the publishers less stupid? And again, the answer is no. If they were to leave, the only way they could leave is the developer leaving their job. And that's not going to help the franchise at all. If there was a mass exodus of 343 employees, that would do a lot of damage to the franchise, especially with games that are in development. It would be also exceedingly difficult for them to leave, because the moment Halo 5 is out, the next Halo game is already getting to the end of its pre-production phase. It may even be in active development. There is no downtime for games developers once a game is done. As soon as it's done, they have a team that works on post-launch content, and another team that shifts over to focus on the development of the next game. As we know, games take a long time to develop. They take 3, 4, 5, 6, hell, in Duke Nukem Forever's case, 12 years. They take a long time to make, and there is no resting time for the developers. Because if there was 6 months after a game came out where the devs sort of sat around and did nothing, well, they're not going to earn any money. The publisher's just going to have to pay them for doing absolutely nothing. It's just not the way it's going to work. So there's no real suitable time for a company to leave unless they take a break between games. Now, if the publisher and developer were to go on a hiatus, then there may be time for the company to leave. But in 343's case, again, they are owned 100% by Microsoft. So there's not really much they can do. They are contracted by Microsoft. They work for Microsoft. They are paid by Microsoft. 343 is just a company name that fits with the Halo branding, that they use as an umbrella for all the employees that they have. It's not like back in the Bungie days where Bungie were a separate company that were then bought out by Microsoft. The only reason Bungie wanted to stop was because they'd reached the end of their contract with Microsoft on the buyout, and they could then move on to take a contract from somebody else, in their case Activision, and they made Destiny and whatnot. It's a big shame that the publisher has their hand so far into the development of Halo that it feels like the game is losing its core, but I hope and I feel that Gears of War 4 has shown Microsoft that keeping the game the way it should be will help sales. Because Gears of War, I feel, has done a lot better than Halo 5 in terms of community reception. There are a lot of people complaining that certain things are different, certain things have changed and whatnot, and the microtransactions. And like I've said about microtransactions, Microsoft are going to keep putting them in because people buy it. If Microsoft launch a game with microtransactions and absolutely no one, 0 people buy these microtransactions, then they will think twice about adding it again, because at that point, it's wasted development time. And at the moment, microtransactions are very easy to implement into games. Random number generators, they're about as easy as they can be. Most engines have systems like that already. They take very little dev time, and they can bring in an awful lot of money for the developer and the publisher. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like or a comment. If you've got any thoughts on publishers and game developers, their relationship between the two, leave it down in the comments section below. And remember, stay classy. Oh, and by the way, we won this game. Get wrecked, noobs. 2v4, baby.